luxury we feel is what is rare and aspirational, and when people go out, they seek travel that has the ability to transform them, that has the ability to touch them in ways that those stay with them.
Welcome. This is for the viewers of TravelDine, and we're really, excited to have you, Mr. Manvinder Singh Shekhawat, on the show with us because, right now with, the sort of the travel industry having suffered so much, but now things are looking up with the second wave abating a little bit, and, hopefully people are getting eager to travel once again. So, who better to ask about, sort of what the industry is looking forward to than somebody who's a dynamic entrepreneur, who's very, passionate about everything from heritage to conservation to, looking after India as a whole. And so Mr. Manvinder Singh Shekhawat, who's managing director of the MRS Group, he has these great properties in Rajasthan and in other parts of the country as well. So we're very happy to have you with us. And so to start with, I'd like to ask you, tell us a little more about your properties individually, because, each one has seen, I've myself enjoyed the hospitality at Narendra Bhawan in Bikaner, and everyone's had great things to say about the others. So if you can tell us your vision of how you developed them and, you're in Rajasthan, which is a royal state, but you've also gone so much beyond just the regal splendor, gone more into contemporary style and having a very interesting story for each. So I'd like to hear the story from you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. So Priya, the hotels for us are mediums through which we express our fascination for far-off lands, their people, their extraordinary stories, intangible or unheard facets of its intangible and tangible material and cultural heritage. But most importantly, just sharing the essence of the land that we are in is an extremely interesting exercise for us, and that's what we believe also is very valuable for our guests. So you spoke about different places. We started off with Jaisalmer, wherein we built Suryagarh in the middle of the Thar desert as one of its outposts, drawing inspiration from traditional architecture of Jaisalmer, and really creating a place through which you can experience the essence of the Thar, or our interpretation of the essence of the Thar. Whilst the hotels in Bikaner, both Laxmi Niwas and Narendra Bhawan, they are our interpretation of the residences of the house of Bikaner, while Laxmi Niwas was built by Ganga Singh ji, and it's that old lady that is very charming and has aged gracefully. And while Narendra Bhawan was, if places were people, what would be the house of this, the last Maharaja of Bikaner, who's eclectic, who has eclectic taste, who's eccentric in his personality, who's traveled around the world, who's a scholar. So if he was to do a house today, what kind of a house would it be? So there's a figment of our imagination onto it, but his daughter seems to like it. So we thought that we were successful in that. And Binsar, really, it's about the sanctuary. It's about Deodar forests. It is about the leopards of that place. But more importantly, the kind of conversations that forests have with people. We just thought that that's a good place for us to express that. and through our culinary or our services, I feel that our hotels are just mediums through which we express our fascination for these far off places and their people and their extraordinary stories.
Kudos to you for actually getting this entire having heritage appeal to the youth and making it cool for everyone. That's really nice. But tell me, I mean, like obviously going from Rajasthan to the other end of the country, Binsar, I mean, how did that even happen? Tell us about the estate and how did it start?
It happened because one of our dear friends, Shobha, we were discussing this, Shobha from Rare India. We were discussing that we wanted to go outside our state, and she introduced us to the owners of Mary Budden. And I met Serena, who's the owner of the place, and it was just that is that when you go into that place, there is no way that you don't want to be there. And then Serena was extremely kind, and we were able to forge a working relationship together. So it was as simple as that. Yeah.
A big part, I mean, of your stays have always been about creating experiences. I've seen the explorations in the F&B at Narendra Bhawan, and I'm told even at Suryagarh, it's really, really interesting. You actually bring the local mithai walas into the hotels. You make, the connections happen between travelers and the local populace. So how do you actually conceptualize these and, do this hatke kind of thinking? Because a lot of, I would think, hospitality chains even are trying that now. But I think you all have done it in a very in a way that is very organic, and yet it creates so much of a difference in the experience a traveler enjoys at your hotels.
Yeah, so what we felt was, and it goes back to our basic understanding of luxury. Luxury, we feel, is what is rare and aspirational, and when people go out, they seek travel that has the ability to transform them, that has the ability to touch them in ways that those stays stay with them. So whatever we try to keep a very market forward approach, and we see that what will make most sense for our guests and what will make most sense. Often the answers are very simple, that you just have to be intuitive, you have to be honest about what you are presenting to them. Is it integrated well with the community? And is it served to them in a style that is palatable for the 21st century traveler, used to 21st century creature comforts? So when you combine all of that, you are basically presenting, whether it is through your cuisine or whether it is through your experiences, you are just giving the travelers a different lens to experience the world that we are part of, and see facets of it that perhaps or experience facets of it that they would really want to see any which ways. So yeah, that's the long answer to your short question.
But that's beautiful. Would you like to maybe describe one of your favorite explorations or experiences that you have curated?
So one of my favorite experiences is the Silk Route Trail in Jaisalmer. And why it is very special is because when you are on the Silk Route Trail, you often lose track of time, because you are seeing old caravanserais that were perhaps inhabited a few hundred years ago, and they are in the middle of nowhere. So you get this, you lose that sense of time through these experiences. You are able to see dried riverbeds on which the rivers of the desert flow. You are able to see wells that have been a source of life for communities. And when you see all of that against the backdrop of the wild, brawny Thar, and you experience sounds of birds, and you experience breeze in ways that city life does not allow you to. All of that is a sensory overload, and I found it very enjoyable and transformative.
It certainly sounds transformative. So do you think that this is a reason you have a huge amount of even domestic travelers coming to your place? Because I read somewhere that most of your guests are maybe 80% domestic travelers in a state like Rajasthan, which otherwise, most people are just trying to get the international tourists in, and you're also catering to Indians who like to travel.
So, that India is, from a business point of view, it's a huge market.
Yes.
B, it is a very well-paying market. And the third thing, and perhaps the most important thing, is that I find that when these guests who come from our larger feeder markets are largely the industrialized, developed towns of Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Nagpur. And I see that when they see a destination in their own country that they have heard about, but perhaps have not seen with this sort of a lens, they find it very, how should I say, it feels like they have discovered something new, which was unexpected. And that is why we are able to get a lot more referral business. And Indians are also a very resilient traveler, so they are not disturbed by travel advisories or it just happened about 12 years back when I was setting up the first hotel, wherein I saw that Israel Tourism had put an advertisement for Indians in Bombay, and I thought that I would be actually quite stupid to not make a hotel that was for Indians.
Makes sense, absolutely. But you do have international travelers as well, and that chunk is going to take a while to kind of come back to the country. So, just as sort of a dipstick, I mean, you probably have, your feelers in the industry already. So what's been, have there been inquiries already? Does it look promising in the, next year or two?
See, I mean, I have been saying this for the past ever since COVID began, that yes, the way that we play the game, that may change somewhat. But the essential things that why people seek or yearn for travel, that if at all has, that emotion has, if at all it has just grown. So I definitely feel that the quest for travel, the need for transformative experiences, the need to get out and explore the world, given the fragility of life, which if at all COVID has only exposed, I think travel, it'll only get better, I feel. Now, when that is going to happen, I mean, I don't have the crystal ball, so I do not know. But certainly, domestic tourism is going to bounce back first, as everyone knows. And I'm hopeful that once most of the world is vaccinated, which, by the way, I don't think that it's going to take 4 or 5 years, that it's going to be much sooner. Within COVID precautions or COVID protocols, I think people are going to start traveling as soon as they get an opportunity. With respect to queries, we have not received any queries from foreign travelers at this moment because of the Delta variant that India had. But last year, when India was not so high on COVID cases, we started receiving queries, and we in fact, someone had booked an event as well from foreign country. Yeah.
And speaking of events, obviously now people are going in for more intimate weddings. And would you be also, considering having your hotels as venues for smaller events and gatherings, even, in the near future?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have always been hosts to intimate weddings, celebrations, and I think that trend is only going to continue.
So does this reflect in your advertising or your outreach to agencies? Are you working actively in this sphere?
As I said, that most of our business is referral business. So people often who end up doing small or intimate events have been guests at some point, during their interaction with them, during their interaction with us. And I think it's going to only continue. Yeah.
Okay. And so also, what kind of policy support would you seek from the government, especially like now in these times and even in general, just to promote tourism, or like your initiative with I Love Jaisalmer and generally about heritage conservation? There are many aspects that, say, the state or central government could help. So, how would you advocate to this, and what would you want on your wish list?
So I think there have been some pretty compelling case studies even within India. How Kerala, the hoteliers body, all other stakeholders in the tourism industry came together with the government to promote the state as one. Is a very good case study to learn from. And I don't see any reason why it cannot be done pan-India. But talking more specifically, given our context today, I feel that we are competing for people's time, limited time. That's really what we're competing for. And destinations all around the world, whether it's Maldives or Greece, all stakeholders are coming together with one voice to promote their places, and the experience of the guest is backward integrated. So I may be running a great hotel, but if the experience of the guest at the airport is not correct, the guest is not going to come to Jaisalmer. But if the experience of the guest at the airport is good, but there are no flights or not enough flights or affordable flights flying to Jaisalmer, it does not work. If the flights come, but the visa is expensive, and it takes gets stuck in bureaucratic hurdles, that's another thing. When a guest comes, how safe a destination is, how well laid out in tourism infrastructurally the place is. All of these are touch points that combine in a cohesive way to define a travel experience. And for that, if all stakeholders don't come together, it's a losing battle. So I would just hope that the government heard the stakeholders more and made policies and built infrastructure that gears the state for a much more cohesive approach to attract tourism.
Absolutely. And what about you individually? Are you planning to scale up the MRS group, or grow more hotels? What's your plan? I mean, of course, it's not the right time maybe to expand, but you probably have something on the anvil.
Actually, it's the best time to expand.
Is it?
because and we have been in talks with some a prominent group, and hopefully we'll form a new company, a management company that hopefully will expand its footprint to start with in Bhutan and Nepal, and a few other destinations in India. But again, this is all right now under the wraps. So whenever the time is right, I would share.
But would the sort of vision or the style of the new places be similar? Or will that be a different venture?
No, I think it's going to be, we have made a lot of mistakes in the past few years. So I hope we'll not make those mistakes again. And the products are going to be a lot more refined, and the experiences a lot more bespoke. So I think it's going to be a good few years ahead.
So as a former model yourself, you used to be with the Glad Rags models. I hear about that. Now you're a model hotelier. So any tips for other hoteliers? Maybe somebody who's just starting off. Like obviously they look up to you. You're still young by other hotelier standards. I mean, there are people in their 70s and 80s with a whole lot of experience, but you have what it takes to make a success of, like these boutique properties. So if someone wants to get into the same sort of, sphere, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I would say just a few things that that have a good team, because ultimately in hotels it all boils down to people. And the second thing is that you must have the ability to stick it out, because things are not always as rosy. So yeah, as long as you have two things, you have good people and you have the will to stick it out, it's just an exceptional profession to be in.
So would you like to tell us a little bit about your Citizen Airline initiative?
Sure. So last year everyone was quite worried because of COVID, and then finally when business picked up and Jaisalmer started reconnecting with the rest of the country by air, suddenly the flight operator SpiceJet, because of possibly low projections, they decided to pull out of Jaisalmer, and which was a very big concern, because if you cut a destination by air, then it's basically that sentence. So what we were able to do is that we were able to speak to SpiceJet, understand what the underpinning reasons for taking us off was. We understood that what was the potential business loss that they were expecting. And then we were able to rally all stakeholders of the tourism industry of Jaisalmer and gave SpiceJet a commitment that we are going to underwrite any losses if you have any. And within 1 week of them pulling off the flights, we were able to get them restarted again. And the flights operated on a 80-85% load. So everyone was happy. And it was a very small initiative in a manner of speaking, but all stakeholders of the tourism industry came together. Almost everyone who has any interest in Jaisalmer came together, whether the travel agents were supporting us, the local administration, everyone came together, and we were able to forge a partnership within a week with an airline and take on a very large public scale problem by making an alliance of local people who wanted to solve that problem. So we were able to get the flight started again. That was and in the same breath, we have, through our organization, I Love Jaisalmer, we have, whether it is cleanliness and conservation drives, we have been doing a lot of projects to strengthen the overall tourism ecosystem of Jaisalmer so that it benefits everyone.
That's wonderful. So it's the power of the people that you're harnessing and, creating, like making change happen. That's really great.
It's amazing that when you go out in the world with an intention, and a lot of people find resonance with that intention, and you are able to use technology to crowd pool that intent and then resources, it's amazing the kind of stuff that one can pull off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you. And
my
I
pleasure.
wish you all the best again. Thanks. Bye.